How to Draw Cartoons with John-Marc. Hey, it's John-Marc and welcome to my series on teaching you how to draw cartoons. Today's episode, I have 3 new lessons to share with you, all of which were done on the computer, but they looked as if I did them traditionally with tips and techniques all the time. The first one is going to be a jet airplane, a real fun one. The second one is going to be a robot, using your imagination and also perspective playing into that one. And the third one is going to be some seaweed, another fun lesson. All 3 come with some tips and techniques that I'm going to share with you. So, if you have your paper and pencil, let's begin. All right, let's begin the lesson today. As you'll notice, I'll be working off of my computer and sketching it out very similar to traditionally. And right now, it's the basic shape of the form of the little jet airplane. Really sketchy. Feel free to use your imagination and sketch it to your style, maybe. But please note to remember to always practice doing that light sketching first and then get a little bit darker when you get more of the content, in this case, the little jet plane in view. So right now I'm working on his little eyeballs there. I'm giving him a little face, give him a little smile before. Go a little bit heavier right now on that curve. There we go. All right, let's get a bit more on the mouth now. And forming it up. It's like working with clay, like you hear me from time to time sharing. And stay tuned to the very end because I actually clean up the pencil and I will actually do a quick coloring of it as well. Here's the little jet wings right now. Okay, the curvature. Feel free to also explore and do some research on what actually some jet airplanes may look like and then use those as models and transform them into your style of cartoon. And here's some little the wing there are the fuselage. Okay, that's looking good. I like that. Okay, getting a little bit more detail, a little bit sharper now, get a little bit heavier with my lines now, a little bit darker and going slower in some of the areas. Yeah, I'm just shading on the top there, just giving some tone a little bit more on there. As you can see, this is still considered between step 1 and step 2 of actually doing this little cartoon. Remember, when you're sketching, it doesn't have to be perfect because thereafter you can take it to your light box or to a window and do a little tracing and get a little bit tighter to finish up the detail that you may like. This is just to help you get your thoughts out, pretty much. It's like thumbnails, but a little bit higher end. All right, let's get that little side there, a little more definition on there, like the old military type of paneling on how they actually were made. All right, a little shape here. That's looking good. And now just doing a shade in that little nose, that curvature. If you notice that little ring on the nose and then how I shade it kind of gave that curvature so it's not so flat. So his mouth is actually the inside of the jet. It's an old traditional jet. All right, a little smile, a little heavier. As you see now, I'm going a little heavier. And don't worry, you notice, even on the computer, I am not erasing as well. I'm just getting a little heavier and rotating at the front of his nose there, a little darker. The jet's here inside. So his mouth actually, again, is where the jet is there, not underneath the wings in this case. All right, a little bit on the top there. That's looking good. His belly, I like that. I'm working on the wings here right now, a little bit darker. You can see how the definition is jumping out when you are going a little bit darker. And the point, again, even though that this is a computer that I'm drawing, I would still emphasize start light to work a little way to get darker and darker. It makes it a little bit easier to see. You may even want to start off with a blue pencil on the computer and then follow up with a more gray lead like I currently have right now. All right, getting underneath the wing there. That's looking good on the top now. Finishing that up the top. All right, that's looking good. I like it. Feel free to come back to this one because I don't do some backgrounds. You may want to have them flying on the side of the mountains or high up and you could see buildings or the topography, the land below. But for right now, just feel free to experiment with your technique in drawing and sketching. There we go. Just adding some shading for the back fin there. All right, let's get the inside there. That's right around his eyes right now. Getting a little bit darker. All right, that's looking good. I like that. All right, a little bit more detail, a little bit darker, working around the body a little bit more. The nose here. There I get it. Coming back again, giving a little bit more, emphasizing on his nose right there. Shading that. Let's get a little bit heavier and shadowing in his little mouth where the jet is. Kind of gives you that indication. Looks like a big mouth there. All right, and a little darker. I like that. That's better there. I like that. All right, underneath his belly there, little lines, little wave. Just feel free to just feel your creativity. Yeah, I like that. So I'm going to sign this one right now, but stay and watch what I do when I clean it up, and you're going to see a splash of color. All right, so here is dun 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 the cleanup version. A little bit tighter, a little bit darker here and there. And then I'm going to show you there's a cleanup, really soft lines right there. And then from there, I'm going to take it into the color mode and bingo. So now make sure you share with your family and friends. Hey, now wasn't that a cute little cartoon jet airplane? What did you do different? Did you make him a little bit more like your style? Or did you add some little buddies fly in the air with him? Whatever you did, using your imagination and learning those techniques of drawing is a key thing. So if you enjoy this lesson, the next one is going to be just as fun, so stay tuned.
And now back to our show.
If you still have your paper or pencil, I think we're ready to begin the little robot. So let's begin. So let's begin our little cartoon robot. I'm going to be working off of my computer once again, sketching it out and just making simple basic shapes. Feel free to use your imagination and change the size and shape of whatever you want to. But right now I'm making a cube, like a little square. This is like a 2-point perspective. You only seen two sides. Working on his legs here on the bottom. How are they going to turn out? I don't know just yet. Just sketching up and playing up with the basic creation of this. All right, here's like his little arm, maybe his shoulder. How's it going to look? I'm not so sure. Let's little. Okay, let's make this as like his little elbow right there, and that's a little like if it was joints. Okay, how is he going to have a hand on, or is it a little different? Let's see. Maybe we make him have like a little wrench on there. Yeah, let's do that. I like that idea. All right. Okay, good. There we go. A little claw. Okay. There we go. I like that. It's kind of like coming towards you right now. Not another perspective. A little circle there to hold the joint, and that's where the other part of the forearm. So there you got the elbow here, and then you have the shoulder over here, and that little claw for his arm there. All right, so let's get the other side. So you're not going to see the shoulder because that's behind. So you're going to see the little elbow here. Okay, now what we're going to do here, another claw maybe. You know what? Yeah, let's do another one here. Yeah, I like that. All right, now this one's going to be a little bit different. Same thought though. All right, I'm just going to leave that for right now. I'll get back to that. Let's get his face. So he's going to be, let's say, an angry robot. So I'm giving him his brows, one really high up and one really low expressions. And this one eyeball is really big. Like he's like, okay. All right. And his little eye. So let's get his little mouth in there and his nose, maybe. I'm not so sure about his nose. Maybe square out. Yeah, let's just do that big square. I like that. All right. And then his mouth is just like, pouting. Okay, now I'm just going to make like little panels on the side. And actually, here's another lesson in future that you're going to see me work on thumbnails. So giving you some ideas before you get to this stage. You may want to thumbnail some stuff to get your creative juices flowing. All right, and that little side there is looking good for his legs underneath there. All right, a little bit more on there, a little bit more. Okay, this is just basically step one again, really sketching. I'm just thinking as I go, so randomly, I'm not so sure how things are going to flow out just yet. So it's wherever my mind and creativity is leading me to. So, and I'm just going to shade in the brow for his eyes right now so you can kind of see that. And it'll get darker now. So being an artist and creative, you don't always have to start and work in the same areas. Wherever your creativity is leading you to, as you can see, I'm back on his face there and putting some lines there because I like that. And I might come back and work on it later or jump back and forth. So how I'm drawing right now, that my little robot might be a little different than you, and that's totally normal. Shade in that little bit of that nose right there. I like that. Okay, now working on his little arm here, his little shoulder, getting a little darker, putting more pressure on my pen to give that little dark line. So the same thing, when working traditionally, I like to work with possibly like a 2B lead. That's a little softer than your HB, which is considered a number 2 pencil. A little softer to sketch. Then following up, you may want to have a more firmer lead weight like an HB, or even like the next phase up. I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought where I am when I'm drawing right now. Okay, working on the other side. That'll be a future lesson. I'll explain the different leads and the lead's weights and then share that with you and the purpose behind it, because that also helps when sketching. And let's get this little three-dimensional. As you can see there, when it was flat before, now adding that little side there to that little his hand there, it kind of gives that dimension. All right, working on the little arm over there a little bit more. That's looking good. I like that. And then the next one here, as you can see, the perspective. And those are future lessons. I'm going to be explaining 1 point, 2 point perspective and how it all works with the horizon visually a little bit more. And a little quick one. I'm not worried about how rough this looks at all. Because if I want it to be a little bit more detail, I would come back again, like I say, from time to time and clean it up. This is just a real quick sketch. So I have that panel on there. Okay, let's sketch that on the side there. Gives a little shadowing there, a little shadowing on the side, like a whatever this little contraption is on the side. Just feel free to use your imagination. Is it an exhaust or where air blows in and out? Could be any one of those things. All right, let's get on the top there. All right, the cleaning up there. A little shading and lighting on there. And sometimes you may want to put like a little arrow on your paper to indicate where the sun or light is actually casting down. So on my side, the sun's or the light is more on the right, and the left side is going to be all dark and shadow. That's when I just shade in that little spot there. Or as a little nose, just add a little highlight on that one right there. Working around his body a little bit more on his hand there. And so when you're doing this, feel free to come back after this episode and look at the shape that this robot and change and come back and create your own robot, several other ones. It could be an oval, could be two squares, two circles on top of each other or next to each other, randomly creating your next lesson on your own, but using this lesson as a tool to understand how to sketch and being creative. All right, work on the legs there, shading on the dark bottom by his feet there. Getting the other side there. Really, really quick. Nothing spectacular. Once more, this is just to teach you guys how to use your imagination. And don't even stop. Even if you don't like it right now, just play along with it and try to finish it up to the best to your ability. And then when you do the next one, it could be a lot stronger and so forth and so forth. So if you spend some time during the day and doing that, I know you'll be doing a great job. So at this point, let's sign in date and share with your family and friends.
Now that was a fun little robot, and that perspective, a little square and everything, but definitely you're learning perspective more and using your imagination. Feel free to come back and change that robot or add a little bit more to it. Whatever you're doing, adding your style or more creativity is a key thing. So if you enjoy this lesson, the next one is going to be just as fun. So stay tuned.
And And now back to our show.
I'm John-Marc, and I'm excited to share this next lesson with you on the seaweed. Using your imagination definitely is going to be fun, because I'm just going to show you seaweed and some little coral. You can add all the fish and creativity with your style thereafter. So, if you have your paper and pencil, let's begin.
All right, let's begin the lesson again, and you'll notice I'll be working off my computer, sketching this out. And I'm going to quickly just create all these different forms of seaweed. This lesson is 2 and 1. I'll explain that shortly. First part is using your creativity and learning how to sketch very lightly and building the shapes. Now, the second part is to understand form of the actual seaweed and how you can change it in overlapping action. That's also really applies good for traditional animation, the old classic, not what you see so much on TV nowadays. And those are lessons coming in the future as well, teaching you how to animate basic shapes and forms. But getting back to today's lesson, so the seaweed is a good way of learning how to move and change the shape of leaves. And the seaweed itself can be like shirts, flags blowing in the air, or what have you. So just don't think of it as seaweed. This is a lesson in several different neat parts, actually. So here below is just a little coral reef that I'm just creating these little corals on the bottom, lightly just sketching them in. And getting the one in the background there, a little tall and shadowing, showing a little distance, some foreground. One's here, there. Let's get another seaweed all the way in the back. Yeah, there we go. I like that one. All right, and this is another good lesson too. If you don't know what seaweed could look like, get some books. Check on the internet for different seaweeds and see what types of shape they actually have, because there's hundreds very unique shapes to them. I just made this one very simple, almost like a grass blade, but for right now, it's just a very basic shape one. I'm getting a little bit heavier now. This is almost considered my step 2 now, getting on there. And it'll get the inner line there for the shadowing right here. That's the first one, and that's a shadowing. That's, you see around there, just lightly putting that out there. That's good. I like how that's looking right now. All right. Another one in the back, a little bit darker. And getting this one in the front. A little bit heavier with that. All right, quick lesson for sure, but just a very easy one to understand. And now, even though they're all flat, these leaves, if you shade on one side like here, you kind of get that texture like it's bending or bowing or in the distance behind one another. I like how that's looking right now. That's looking good. A little bit darker. This is a secondary shadow, so this is a little bit heavier and darker. That's on that one to indicate between the two of them. One's further back and one's closer. And this one's just leaning on top of it. A little bit more on there. Okay, a little bit heavier in the line here. Getting that all basic shape down. All right, let's get a little bit more detail on that top one there. Once again, that's overlapping there. There's a little shadowing there. All right, so let's get the rocks down here now. Okay, some simple little rocks on the bottom. Very, very quick. And just basic forms and shapes. And please note, I'm going to be making future lessons on different shapes, rocks, and mountains to give you guys some elements when working, as well as trees. Some fun lessons coming in future episodes. All right. And I like how that's looking right now. It's looking really good. Okay. A little bit more detail, a little bit darker on the coral here. And you may want to come back and finish this up and add some fish buddies swimming around in here for sure. Okay, I like that little shadowing around there. A little quick little, that's looking good. I like that. That's not that bad. All right, a little bit more detail, a little bit heavier with the pencil. Little bubbles here and there since we're underwater. A little bit over here. Randomly place the bubbles all over the place. Makes it a little bit more interesting in different sizes. And just have them floating around. All right, top a little bit here and there. I like that. Okay, a little bit. All right, a little bit. I'll get back to that rock a little bit more. Yep, I think it looks good. So as always, let's sign, date, and share with your family and friends.
That was a fun lesson to share with you how to draw that cartoon seaweed and some of that coral reef. What did you do different? Change it to your style. You might be even adding fish right now. That would be so cool. Out of all three of these lessons, they were all done on the computer, but they kind of looked like I was doing traditional. Just remember, when you're drawing traditionally first or on the computer, go lightly and then follow up and get a little bit darker. Get those shapes built up. Remember, it's not just trace the outline, build the objects and the elements overall. So if you enjoy this lesson, my website is jmg-studio.biz. As always, thanks for watching this episode and have a great day.
Ocean City is the place to be if you want to see all the fish in the sea. Fletch is a joker and Mel is super fast. Jammy and Jelly and Yo-Yo are a blast. Jellica's a beauty and all the friends agree. They're more than a family. They're friendly fish, friendly fish. There's nothing better than spending the day with friendly fish, friendly fish. Always on the go, always wanna play. There's so much adventure waiting here at the park. Just watch out for the piranhas, even some of the sharks. But if you're looking for some fun, here they are. They're friendly fish, friendly fish. They are a fish's best friend.